Hi guys, this is just one of my first vlogs that I'm going to be doing for my Tech Wizard 123 account, and I just kind of wanted to voice my opinions about how I think about the Apple, Microsoft, and Windows Phone. So I'm going to be talking about iPhones, Android, and Windows Phone. I'm just going to do this straight out. I have nothing written down, so if I screw up a little bit, you have to take it all in. So just watch the whole video. And enjoy. I guess, or not even enjoy, but just try to like take in the information and just kind of form your own opinions, because that's what what it's all about. When someone launches a product, say Microsoft launches a product, you're not gonna just be like, oh, well, I'll just listen to what everybody else says. But I mean, you kind of just get it in your hands, you kind of check it out, you go, oh, it's got this feature, it's pretty cool, and then you watch reviews, and then they already weigh the pros and cons for you. So you kind of get a mixture of both. It's pretty nice. But okay, that was just all over the place. Anyway, but so what I'm trying to say is I'm comparing the Apple line of iPhones versus the Windows Phone line versus Android, and I really hate how you read a bunch of blogs like on Engadget, on Gizmodo, on Popular Science. You read it, and they compare them. They just totally. I mean, I could even link articles. I mean, but I'm sure you can do a Google search and it'll tell you thousands of articles. They're just comparing them. I don't understand why you're comparing. I guess they're comparing them because they're similar devices. Similar, and they all have their own little quirks, but they all do kind of the same thing. It's a phone, and it does texting, and it does emailing, which is kind of an early smartphone kind of thing where everyone would have them. But yeah, they all kind of do that same thing, and they all kind of serve their purpose. But I really don't think that they should be compared as much as they are. They always say, well, this one's better than this one. You know what? Honestly, in my opinion, I think they all suck. Okay? Let's see where it is. I own a Note 2 Android, okay? I've owned Android since the beginning. I've owned, like this is a 1V HTC. And then I've owned this Note 2, and I've owned, a couple other smartphones. I actually owned a Palm Trio back in the day, one of those Palm Trio 650s. But, so I've had smartphones for, some time, and I've also had, flip phones, and I've had the Nokias. I've been with all the generations, but I just really think that, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, you have Android, Garrett," and that's my name. But you have Android. What's the deal? What you think that's the best because you have it? No, that's not why. I picked Android, okay, because Android has a big app market. They have lots of apps on the Google Play Store, and I don't think it's that as much as iPhones. I'm pretty sure iPhones has, oh my god, iPhones. Apple Store has way more apps, but I'm going to be talking about App Store comparisons as well, because that's kind of a big factor as well. But let's see. So I picked Android because it's really customizable, and I like picking through little nitty-gritty settings and setting up all these different things, and iPhone kind of limits you on some of that stuff unless you kind of jailbreak them. And so I'm talking about no jailbreaking, no rooting. So I'm avoiding that topic. If you just take stock stuff, okay? So I'm going to bring this camera down a little bit. I picked Android, one, because it had, lots of apps on its app store, like a pretty good, because they make pretty much most of the famous stuff. So they make, Facebook, Instagram, Vine, stuff like that. So they make pretty popular stuff, and the same with iPhone. But they also have really good customizability. I can change, all the stuff around. I can make all the different screens different. I can delete screens, reorganize screens, put new icons. And you can do the same thing on, iPhones, but it's just a little bit different. You can have widgets on iPhones, and, there's just a couple, like, little things that I like about Android platform stuff. Obviously, I don't like the stuff that they install straight from, T-Mobile or something like T-Mobile, they straight install T-Mobile Life and T-Mobile this and T-Mobile that. It's like, I don't really like that, but what are you gonna do? You can root it, but I'm just talking about stock stuff. But it's got a lot of customizability in that form, and then Windows Phone just never. I mean, it has. I kind of like the whole Metro. I don't know if they call it Metro on the phone, but it's kind of like a Metro kind of themed looking thing. It's just tiles. Um, I like it. It's actually pretty nice, and I like how they're live, and then the contacts update, and you get messages and pictures that are rolling through, and which is cool. I think that's really good, to use, and it's pretty handy. I think it's a really good phone. I think it's pretty solid, and I haven't heard any complaints and phone problems. But the problem I had with it is that the App Store is pretty much non-existent. There is pretty much no apps. They don't even have. They just got Snapchat. Not that Snapchat's it's Snapchat, but still, they have a lot of popular apps that are just kind of just not supported. They haven't made them. Snapchat has not made an official release and stuff, but now they have. But multiple companies didn't make like real releases. Like other people had to make them. So, which is cool. Like it's cool that developers get to have some credit for making stuff that works. But still. They just didn't have a lot, and I didn't like. It didn't have a lot of customizability. I couldn't, change around my screens and stuff. It's gotten better now. You can do like multitasking, and multitasking works great. Multitasking on Android, I'm not really into. I don't think it's that great. I think it could be a lot better. I think iPhone, like Apple, did a really good job on their multitasking stuff. It's really clean and smooth. Android's kind of a little choppy. That's what I've noticed. I'm an Android user, okay, but I still hate on the Android stuff. Like there's bad stuff. So I don't know why people have to say, well, one is better than the other, because they all they just have their quirks. They just all have problems. And there's all these different releases, and there's different Android versions, there's different iPhone versions, and there's different Windows Phone versions, and they all have little problems, You can point out problems in each one. iPhone has a pretty good setup, but it's not really customizable. It's kind of simple. It's kind of, it's generated for the masses, okay? Android's generated for the masses, but sometimes people, I've known a lot of people who don't even know how to set, like, little, those direct dial contact widget, or not widgets, but little icons where you can just click on them and it'll just call the person. They don't even know how to set those up. Okay, something as simple as that, they can't even set up. I set that up for my uncle, and he had no idea how to use it. Okay, and that's the only way he can make phone calls. He couldn't even figure it out. Okay, so things like that, worry me, because you should honestly, when you make a phone, and I would love to make a phone. I think that'd be really cool, a cool thing to do, but very difficult, obviously. But I'd really like to see something that could be both ways, It could be really simple to, people who don't really understand a lot of the, technology on my phone. Like my phone has the quick glance where you just look at the phone, wave your hand over the phone, and it'll, like do this little graphic animation, and it'll show your text messages, missed calls. People really, haven't gotten into using those kinds of features, and or if I shake my phone, it'll vibrate and show me text messages, stuff like that, and, double tapping to go to the top. It's just got gesture control. These are just new features that really haven't been implemented well because people are not using them. I see other people with Note 2s, and they haven't even heard of that feature being on their phone. So, you need to make something simple that's, easy to understand and intuitive, and that's kind of what, iPhones kind of did. They made it really intuitive and easy to use, and that's why it's a very popular phone. The problem I have with it is it's not customizable, and I like messing with things, and I like, and I don't really want to use iTunes, and there's certain things I don't like about it. But what I do like is App Store, the iPhone App Store, has, they have a really rigorous, I don't know what the word for it is, but rigorous way of getting in, your app onto the App Store. They have a series of, rules you have to go through, and it's really, really, I like it. It filters out a lot of the stuff, and they have some pretty quality apps. And if certain apps do this and certain apps do this, they won't be, eligible to be on the App Store. On Android, it's kind of just pretty much fair game. You buy the $15, $25 license, and you're pretty much set to go. Okay, I think iPhones every year you have to pay, and Windows Phone, I don't know. I've never looked into the developer stuff for that, but I have friends who have developed, so I'm pretty sure it can't be that expensive. But they develop for each one. Well, Windows Phone, you kind of just throw it out there, and there's a lot of bad apps. I was talking to my friend next door, and he said that all of his Windows Phone stuff, he has one of the nicer Windows. He had the Lumia, and he said that there's a lot of apps that just do not work. And he's like, yeah, you just scroll and scroll and scroll, and you can never find an app that works. They just don't work. And I'm like, come on, like let's make a phone that is really intuitive, easy to use, but then it can be customizable and be good for the people that want it to be customizable, and you can modify it and stuff like that. It should be like that for those people, and then it should be intuitive and easy for other people. You should have best of both worlds, and have an app store that's created by the public or companies, obviously, that come in and make their couple apps like Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook, and Twitter, and all that stuff. But we should start making solid apps, and they should have still a good filter, set up just like iPhone or Apple does, because I don't want to scroll through, 3,000 apps and find 500 that are good. I just don't want to do that, and a lot of people also don't want to do that. You can sort through them, but I still find them on, Android. I find bad apps. I find apps that are, just tons of ads packed in there, and they're slow and buggy, and they crash. I've had the Amazon app crash multiple times. I have never had that thing working. I've had it working like twice, maybe. Okay, so you can have good developers that are just a small company of 5 guys, and you can have a really bad app of 6,000 guys. So it's just kind of like all over the place, and it's really up to everybody in the world to make quality apps. Whether that be companies or people, but apps really do make the smartphone. Without apps, you're pretty much, all you have is the phone, texting, and internet, and email, which is still a lot, but it's nothing comparatively to what apps can do. Apps have just so much power, and you have games and things like that. I mean, you can still use like the internet browser and go to like Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that, but the app just makes it just so much smoother, and I think it's a way better use. I personally like using the app better than going on the website. That's just me, and I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. But I really think we should stop hating on and selecting only one that's better than all of them. Why don't we all make a new one? Why don't we take all of these companies and put them together and make something really cool? Because I think there's a lot of potential, for smartphones. And when I see people, oh, Android's better and Windows Phone's better, it's like, why are we hating on the other one? They all have flaws, okay? And I wish people would, agree that their favorite choice has flaws, because I use Android every single day, and I think it has problems. And I've used a Windows Phone, and I think it has problems. And I've used an iPhone, and I think it's had problems. So it's like personally, I want a battery, like a removable battery in my phone, because if you really can't turn the phone off and the power button's not working or something like that, which I've had times where it's not, you have to pull the battery out. And I've been through 3 Note 2s, okay? And it's not even because I drop them. I have an OtterBox case on it, but I've never dropped my phone. I don't drop phones. I'm one of those guys. And I've never dropped one, and it literally has broken 3 times. That's just from software and hardware failing. That's not even because of brute force just throwing it on the ground. No, it's just because it broke. Okay? And I've heard of other people, they throw their phones on the ground multiple times and it still works. But I've had phones, you know, my Nokia, and I've had my Palm and stuff like that, and I've had no problems. They don't have any problems. There's no software problems. And the reason being is because people keep popping these things out every year. They pop out an iPhone every 6 months, every year. When, you know, Android phone, they're pumping them out all the time. New Note 2, Note 3, Note 4, Note 5, you know, they just keep pumping them out. Windows Phone, Lumia 920, you know, and then they have like 4 other Windows phones. They just keep throwing them out there. And there's not enough time they're focusing on actually developing the product and making it just really solid before they launch it. Because, you know, when they keep pumping, this works for everything. I mean, they pump out Xboxes, but they pump out Xboxes, you know, every couple of years, so at least there's some time to work on it, you know, and Xbox has definitely had some bugs, but they fixed bugs, you know, they made progress, you know, they make, you know, the Xbox One, they make the Xbox Slim, and they fix the problems. Now it's not as, you know, it doesn't have the red ring of death, that's just gone, you know, stuff like that. So we're making technological advances in things, but for Android and Windows Phone and iPhones, they still have problems because they keep pumping them out, and they're trying to keep up with the generation. They're trying to make bigger and better and this, and you know, iOS is coming out, you know, with new versions and stuff like that, and each new version brings new bugs. You know, when you make a new Windows version, you make Windows 7, you make you know, Vista, you make XP, you know, you're gonna have problems. So I really wish they would just take some time, take a couple years, invent something really solid before they pump it out. You know, I know this is not, you know, doesn't get them as much money. I know it doesn't do this, but it saves people the frustration, you know, of being, oh, this thing has a problem, and they just return the phone. And you know, you get warranty replacements and stuff. That's probably costing the company millions, you know. So if they made a good phone to begin with, they wouldn't have these problems. You know, I'm just big talker, right? But I'm not really hating on any individual one. I think they all have problems. They all need improvement, but I think they're all solid pieces of technology. These companies are making really big technological advances very quickly, and there's a lot of things being integrated in them. You know, they're coming out with projectors that are in the size of your phone, you know, and they're making, you know, gesture control like I was talking about earlier, and they're making, you know, they made beaming technology a long time ago. That's still big. That's really cool. Nobody uses beaming, but I've never seen anybody use beaming, but it's cool. On my Palm Trio, I had beaming, and I thought it was the cool. For people who don't know what beaming is, it's, you have this like little sensor, and it sends a beam, like a little infrared beam, over to another phone that has the same sensor, right? And the beam connects, and you know, unicorns, okay? But you know, they send files. You can send files and photos and attachments and stuff through a beam, you know. And my phone has it, but I don't think it's the same. It's not with like a sensor. It's just, you just tap the phone together, and I don't really fully know how that works. I'd love to learn how it works, but it's basically. And then they have a couple apps called like Bumps. I don't remember. I think it was called Bump. I want to say it was Bump, or it was Bump something, and they have an app for it, and I'm pretty sure it just sends it over internet. It just sends it over 4G, and I've used it before. It works great. But you know, sometimes they make technological advances that don't really work that well, and sometimes a couple years later they make something that's like that, but way better. So there's always going to be advances, and I really think that everybody should just stop picking out each individual one that's, you know, good and saying it's all good. No, there's problems in every single one. So, you know, I'm looking at the glass, you know, kind of empty, aren't I? But that's the way it goes. So those are just my thoughts. If you guys have any more questions, let me know. Probably offend a lot of people with this video.